chosen one. The system failure just happened, and the error log is undeniable. They tried to delete you, and now their reality is crashing. Right now, the people who tried to scrub your file from the server are watching their own timeline fracture in real time. The erasure has shifted directions. It is no longer deleting you, it is deleting their access to you. What happens next is a permanent disconnection. They treated you like a bug in their code, a file to be quarantined and scrubbed. But here's the shocking truth they missed. They thought they were deleting you from existence. They were actually just deleting you from their illusion. They removed you from the simulation so you could wake up in the real world. And now that you are offline, they have lost control. This wasn't a random ban. This was targeted source code removal. You got analyzed like a threat to the system. Your frequency got cataloged. Your consistency, your integrity, your refusal to glitch, it all got flagged as dangerous. A realization hit them that triggered a security panic. You were a walking contradiction to their artificial reality. Your authenticity made their programming look obsolete. Your silence made their noise sound like static. Your boundaries made their manipulation look like a cheap hack. If they couldn't corrupt your file, they had to convince everyone else it was a virus. They took real lines of your source code and rewrote them to look like malware. Your discernment became paranoia in their script. Your peace became arrogance. Your refusal to play their game became proof you were cheating. They knew that total fabrications don't stick. So they twisted fragments of your truth until your strengths looked like system errors. They studied you like a target because they couldn't replicate your light. They tried to reverse engineer your spirit, but the code was proprietary to heaven. When they realized they couldn't copy your frequency, they decided to block it. They initiated a smear campaign that wasn't designed to just hurt your feelings. It was designed to throttle your bandwidth. They wanted to make sure that when you spoke, the signal wouldn't reach the network. They wanted to put a firewall around your name so that new connections would be blocked before they could even establish a link. But they underestimated the strength of your signal. They didn't realize that you don't broadcast on their local frequency. You broadcast on a universal channel that they cannot jam. And they executed this shadow ban so seamlessly that even users who were synced with you started questioning their own connection. That is an amateur gossip. That is algorithmic suppression with your spirit as the target. Every glitch they reported about you was actually a diagnostic of their own corrupted hard drive. Every warning they issued described their own malware being projected onto your screen. But first, pause the simulation and verify your connection. Go to the comments and write the number 11. Do not just think it, type it. This is not a random number, it is a binary command to your spirit. By typing 11, you are manually overriding the system's attempt to mute you. You are signaling to the network that your frequency is active and you are ready for the upload. Type 11, now unlock your signal, Indiana. They flagged you as a security threat while they were the ones breaching the firewall. They labeled you as incompatible while they used your energy code to patch their own crumbling system. They pointed at your boundaries and called them glitches, while they performed concern like a scripted bot. The whole time they claimed to be debugging the network, they were actually exposing their own source code in slow motion. Heaven just let the recording software run. The screenshot wasn't random. It was necessary. Not because you had a virus, but because everyone around you needed a firewall test. This system crash didn't break the server, it revealed who had a secure connection and who was just feeding on the signal noise. The people who instantly believed the error messages about you weren't neutral observers. Their frequency was already tuned to low bandwidth interference and static. The ones who maintained a steady connection without proof weren't gullible. Their encryption key recognized yours even through the firewall. This whole setup was a sorting algorithm disguised as a scandal. And you were the honeypot Heaven used to catch every compromised user in your radius. expected a system meltdown from you. Frantic debugging, public spiraling that would give them data for the next version of their lie. Your breakdown was supposed to validate their bug report. If you had crashed, they would have claimed, "See, we told you the operating system was unstable." If you had attacked back, they would have pointed and said, "See, we warned you the threat level was critical." But you didn't crash. You didn't give them the blue screen of death they were praying for. You stayed online. You stayed functional. And that stability is what is driving them insane. They threw every virus they had at your motherboard, and you processed it like a system update. They tried to overload your CPU with drama, and you just increased your processing speed. They cannot understand how a file they tried to corrupt is running smoother than their own operating system. They are looking at you and seeing a glitch in their matrix, an anomaly that refuses to be standardized. You are the variable that ruins their equation. They built a simulation where everyone plays a role, where everyone wears a mask, where everyone follows the script. And then you walked onto the stage without a script. You walked into the simulation without a mask. You started improvising in a world that demands conformity. And that terrified them. It terrified them because deep down, they know their reality is rendered, and yours is real. They know their power is borrowed, and yours is sourced. They know their connection is via a server, and yours is via the source. So they had to ban you. They had to shadow ban your presence because if people watch you for too long, they start to wake up. If people listen to your frequency for too long, they start to realize the static they have been living in. You are a threat to the illusion just by breathing. You are a danger to the matrix just by existing. That is why the deletion attempt was so aggressive. That is why they tried to scrub your history. That is why they tried to rewrite your character bio. They needed to make you look like a villain so nobody would realize you were the protagonist. They needed to paint you as the virus so nobody would realize you were the antivirus. But the deletion failed. The file was write protected by a higher administrator. And now, the energy they used to try and delete you is recoiling back onto them. They are experiencing the lag. They are experiencing the glitches. Their stories aren't rendering correctly anymore. Their lies are buffering. The audience is starting to notice the frame drops. They are losing control of the narrative because you refuse to play the character they wrote for you. You refuse to be the victim. You refuse to be the villain. You just stayed the chosen one. And that is a role they cannot write out of the script because they didn't write it. Heaven wrote it. And heaven doesn't allow edits from the enemy. The sorting algorithm is complete. The firewall test is over. You see clearly now who is connected to your spirit and who is just connected to your utility. You see who is subscribed to your truth and who is just subscribed to the entertainment. The people who left during the shadow ban were never really there. They were glitches in your reality, and the system update just removed them to improve your performance. If you are tired of just surviving the glitches and want to start rewriting the code, hit the join button below and become a code breaker. This clearance level is not for the NPCs, it is for the architects. Code breakers get access to the developer tools, the raw blueprints and advanced strategies that the algorithm hides from the public feed. Stop playing the game and start designing it. Join the code breakers today and secure your admin access. Don't mourn the deleted files. Don't try to restore the corrupted data. Let them go. The system is faster without them. The network is cleaner without them. You are running on optimum efficiency now. You are operating in 5D bandwidth. And the people who are still with you, they are the ones with the matching encryption keys. They are the ones who passed the firewall test. The attempt to erase you didn't destroy you, it defined you. It distinguished you. It separated the signal from the noise. And now, you are broadcasting clearer than ever. The interference is gone. The static is silenced. And the whole world is about to receive the transmission you were born to send. They tried to delete a file, but they woke up an architect. And the architect is about to redesign the entire reality they thought they controlled. Your reaction was meant to be their vindication, but you didn't give it to them. You held your ground. You bit your tongue when leaking their corrupted files was possible. You stayed composed when every fiber of your being wanted to burn their server room down. What they mistook for a system crash was actually you passing a security clearance test nobody announced. Heaven doesn't give admin access to people who glitch easily. Real power isn't proved by how hard you hack back. It's proved by how stable your connection stays when destroying someone is your right. Every day you held your silence was another day you contradicted their entire code about who you were. They claimed chaos. You moved with algorithmic precision. They labeled you unhinged. You remained encrypted. They warned of vengefulness. You chose offline peace. Your endurance became the evidence that outlasted their malware. While you were quiet on Earth, you were uploading massive data in heaven. Every moment you chose restraint over defense was recorded as a permanent log entry. Every night you processed the pain alone instead of dragging them onto the public timeline was logged as proof of your upgraded operating system. Every time you held your peace when you had screenshots that could have ended them was noted in a high court operating beyond the cloud. You weren't just surviving. You were building a case in the digital spiritual realm. And that case is now being delivered with compound interest. The irony hits brutal and beautiful. The same silence they interpreted as guilt is what makes your firewall impenetrable now. The same restraint they mocked as weakness is what makes you look like a master architect now. The same endurance they called cold is what proves your spirit operates on a bandwidth they can't even perceive. You didn't just refuse to play their video game. You proved you were the developer of a completely different reality. And that realization is hitting them harder than any public call-out ever could. This wasn't just about belief in the lie versus belief in you. This was a bandwidth test. Every soul vibrates at a certain data rate. Truth carries one frequency. Deception carries another. When the smear campaign launched, people's reactions revealed which server they were connected to. The people who instantly bought the story weren't just misinformed. Their spirits were already buffering with low-level energy, gossip, envy, and pleasure in downfall. They couldn't download your truth because their hardware had no compatibility with it. Think about this. A virus about you only infects computers whose security settings match the virus's vibration. Someone operating on a secure, high-speed connection feels the dissonance immediately. It doesn't code right. It doesn't scan true. Their antivirus alarm gets triggered even when they can't articulate why. But someone running on a corrupted system locks onto the drama instantly. It confirms what they wanted to believe. It gives them permission to tear down the user they secretly envied. The frame became a filter separating high-frequency users from low-frequency consumers of chaos. God allowed the cloud of accusation to settle on you for a specific reason, to hide you while something got built in you that couldn't be built on the public server. Shame became your VPN. Isolation became your developer mode. The encryption keeping you concealed while the system upgrade happened in the dark. While people debated your character in the chat rooms, heaven was certifying your code. While the world questioned your integrity, God was writing it into the permanent blockchain. Every moment you endured false accusation without retaliating was logged as evidence of spiritual maturity. Every day you held your peace was recorded as proof you could handle admin privileges without corrupting the system. You weren't just surviving a shadow ban. You were passing an initiation that most users never face. And every tear you cried in secret was data being processed for a launch your accusers can't even imagine. When you try to erase a chosen one, you're not just attacking a profile. You're challenging a divine IP address. You are going up against the firewall that heaven itself maintains. And heaven doesn't fight fair. It doesn't operate on human processing speeds. It waits. It buffers. It lets the enemy fill their hard drive with their own corrupted files. Then, when the trap is fully set, when every hacker has revealed their IP address completely, heaven pulls the curtain back and lets the light flood every corner of the server. That is what is happening now. This isn't just a reboot. This is a total system reveal with your name at the center. The hidden season wasn't a connection error. It was an installation period. While they were building a false narrative about you, God was building a legacy in you. While they were spreading viruses, heaven was spreading root access deep in your character. While they were trying to DDoS your reputation, divinity was constructing your new platform. You were hidden in encryption so that when the decryption key turned, the glory would be undeniable. The lower they pushed you, the higher the bandwidth was being compressed for the release. And now the upload is complete. Not just to clear your name, but to launch you into a dimension of favor they cannot access. People are experiencing energetic recoil. The system error they are feeling isn't just emotional, it's physical. Their avatars are rejecting the toxic code they consumed like it's a corrupted file. They feel discomfort around your accusers now. They can't make eye contact. They can't process their jokes. The bandwidth feels wrong because their spirits are finally syncing with truth and rejecting the lie they were fed. This is vibrational justice operating as a system purge. Truth didn't just change minds. It recalibrated the entire server settings around your name. This recalibration isn't finished. The exposure you're seeing now is just the initial bug report. Every person who aligned with your accusers is about to feel the weight of the malware they co-signed. Every silent bystander is about to confront why they chose a comfortable glitch over a courageous update. The frequency shift happening around you isn't just clearing your cache. It's upgrading your entire network. The people who stay in your orbit after this will be the ones whose operating systems can match where you're going next. The rest will naturally disconnect because the vibration won't align anymore. If these words stirred your consciousness, hype this video to help more chosen ones awaken to this. Every accusation thrown at you is actually a confession through projection. You weren't being described. Your accusers were describing their own corrupted source code and using your name as the file path. The manipulation you got accused of was their playbook. The selfishness you supposedly showed was them using people as NPCs, non-player characters. The toxicity they warned others about was their own digital poison spilling out. They were doxing themselves the entire time, and nobody caught it because the simulation was too convincing. Listen to the specificity in those accusations. Too detailed to be random glitches. Too personal to be generic errors. They knew those behaviors intimately because they were coding them daily. When someone calls out manipulation and lists exact tactics, you're not being read. Their user manual is being read from. When emotional games get described with surgical precision, your moves aren't being imagined. Their own gameplay footage is being replayed. Every insult was a confession log. Every warning was a self-report. They gave themselves away with every word, but the audience was too distracted by the graphics to notice. Time is the ultimate truth algorithm. Lies require processing power. You have to remember which version you told to which user. You have to keep updating the story to cover contradictions. It exhausts the CPU. Truth just sits there, uncompressed, waiting. Over time, their narrative started decaying from the inside like bit rot. Details stopped rendering correctly. The timeline developed gaps. The tone shifted from confident admin to desperate hacker. People started feeling uneasy without knowing why. That was their intuition screaming that something in the code smelled rotten. Now the decay is visible and spreading across the network. Every lie they told has turned into a timestamp of guilt. Stories that once earned them likes are now evidence being used against them. Accusations that made them look righteous now make them look infected. And the beautiful irony is that you didn't have to hack them. They exposed themselves through their own output. The frame they built for you became the cage they locked themselves in. All you had to do was stay online long enough to watch it happen. What looked like your system failure was actually heaven's maintenance mode. You weren't being deleted. You were being defragmented. People who consumed the lies about you are now experiencing what happens when their hardware catches up with what their software always knew. The lie tasted sweet going down, but now it's crashing their system, and they can't undo the download. Watch what happens when someone who believed the story about you encounters your accusers now. The energy feels wrong. The connection is laggy. The laughter sounds forced, like a looped audio track. The charm looks rendered, not real. They can't unsee the manipulation. They can't unhear the lies. The frequency has shifted, and their bodies are rejecting what their minds once accepted. This is vibrational justice in real time. Truth didn't just win the argument. It upgraded the atmosphere. The same people who once avoided you out of moral superiority now can't stand to be near the ones who set you up. This disgust isn't coming from you campaigning against your accusers. You didn't have to drag them into a public forum. You didn't have to expose their chat logs. Truth did the heavy lifting. Divine timing executed the command, and now the people who participated in your framing or stayed silent during it are being confronted by their own reflection in the black mirror. They're seeing what they became when they chose drama over discernment. When they picked the entertaining glitch over the boring stability. When they valued their comfort more than your dignity. The stakes just escalated again. This isn't just personal vindication anymore. This is a collective system awakening. Users are realizing that if they got you this wrong, what else is in their code that is wrong? If your accusers could fool them this completely, who else is running a simulation on them? The exposure of your frame is triggering a domino effect that's making people question the entire platform. Your accusers are panicking because they're losing control of narratives beyond just yours. The crack in their firewall is spreading like a fracture through glass. They expected you to gloat, to attack, to launch a DDoS attack of revenge. Now that truth is on your side, they're bracing for the public dragging they know they deserve. But that's not the move. That's still playing on their server. Real power doesn't need to prove anything anymore. Real admin authority doesn't require performance. You already won the game. The truth already broke the encryption. The vindication already happened. What you do now isn't about them. It's about stepping fully into the main character role you were prepared for while they were trying to delete you. They snitched on themselves, and they didn't even realize the microphone was still on. This is the part of the glitch that makes them lose sleep. They thought they were holding a press conference to expose you, but they were actually live streaming their own internal corruption. They forgot to mute the mic. They forgot to stop the screen share. And the whole world just saw their desktop background. Every accusation they threw at you was actually a confession wearing a disguise. They weren't analyzing you, they were describing themselves in high definition. The manipulation they accused you of? That was their own playbook being read aloud. The selfishness they claimed you had? That was them projecting their own narcissistic code onto your blank screen. The toxicity they warned others about was their own digital poison spilling out. They were telling on themselves the entire time. Nobody caught it at first because the performance was too convincing, but now and now you are walking into the chapter where everything you endured becomes the source code for everything you are about to build. You are stepping up into your real assignment. The one they tried to delete before it could fully load. The calling they saw in your code before you saw it in yourself. The influence they feared. The authority they couldn't hack. It is all still here, waiting, bigger than before, because it was tested by fire and survived. You are no longer an NPC, non-player character, reacting to their drama. You have shifted timelines. You are now operating in 5D consciousness, where their low vibration attacks cannot reach you. They are still playing checkers on a crumbling server. You have moved to a different dimension entirely. You have gained admin access to your reality. This isn't just about clearing your name anymore. It is about upgrading your entire spiritual operating system. You discovered that your peace doesn't depend on their network connection. You found out that your worth isn't determined by who likes your profile. You realize that your calling doesn't require permission from anyone who is still stuck in the simulation. Your accusers wanted to break you. Instead, they broke you open. They wanted to expose your flaws. Instead, they exposed your capacity. They wanted to reveal your weakness. Instead, they revealed your resilience. Every attack was meant to diminish your file size but ended up expanding your bandwidth. Now, let me put you onto something real. The Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching chosen ones get dragged through shadow bans and viral lies while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your admin privileges. The hardest thing you will do is put on headphones, press play, and watch your enemies keep digging their own graves while you ascend. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. They tried to erase your name from relevance, and instead, they created legendary status. Every person who heard the lies also heard your name. They gave you reach you never asked for. They meant it for evil. God meant it for marketing. Now that truth has broken, everyone who heard the lie is also hearing the vindication. The circular narrative closes here. We started with the system failure. We end with you rewriting the code. We started with their lies spreading. We end with your truth echoing louder. You return transformed, elevated, unstoppable. You can't fake what you just went through. You can't manufacture the kind of character that gets forged in a digital fire. You are not just a survivor. You are the architect of the new timeline. You are not just vindicated. You are crowned. The shocking truth just broke, and it broke every chain they tried to bind you with. Now walk free. Walk powerful. Walk in the authority that was forged in the glitch they caused. You are not just back online. You are the server. And the whole world is about to watch what a chosen one looks like when heaven decides it's time to reveal who was really running the game all along. Let's talk about the future timeline you just unlocked. Because once the erasure fails, the promotion is automatic. It's a law of the spiritual physics engine. Where a force tries to delete a high-frequency file and fails, that file automatically gets administrative privileges. You are walking into rooms now where the atmosphere will change just because you entered. You won't have to speak to command respect. Your energy signature will do the talking. The people who tried to ban you will see you and feel a sudden drop in their own signal strength. They will feel small, not because you are trying to intimidate them, but because your reality is now rendering at a higher resolution than theirs. You are going to see doors open that were previously locked by firewalls. You are going to see resources flow to you that were previously routed to the system's favorites. This is the compensation for the attempted deletion. Heaven is not just restoring what you lost, it is paying out damages. You are about to receive a settlement that will make the suffering look like a cheap down payment. So walk with your head high. You are not a victim of a smear campaign. You are the survivor of a failed assassination attempt on your destiny. And survivors of that level don't just walk, they reign. The test is over. Chosen one, the system failure just happened. and the error log is undeniable. They tried to delete you, and now their reality is crashing. Right now, the people who tried to scrub your file from the server are watching their own timeline fracture in real time. The erasure has shifted directions. It is no longer deleting you, it is deleting their access to you. What happens next is a permanent disconnection. They treated you like a bug in their code, a file to be quarantined and scrubbed. But here's the shocking truth they missed. They thought they were deleting you from existence. They were actually just deleting you from their illusion. They removed you from the simulation so you could wake up in the real world. And now that you are offline, they have lost control. This wasn't a random ban. This was targeted source code removal. You got analyzed like a threat to the system. Your frequency got cataloged. Your consistency, your integrity, your refusal to glitch, it all got flagged as dangerous. A realization hit them that triggered a security panic. You were a walking contradiction to their artificial reality. Your authenticity made their programming look obsolete. Your silence made their noise sound like static. Your boundaries made their manipulation look like a cheap hack. If they couldn't corrupt your file, they had to convince everyone else it was a virus. They took real lines of your source code and rewrote them to look like malware. Your discernment became paranoia in their script. Your peace became arrogance. Your refusal to play their game became proof you were cheating. They knew that total fabrications don't stick. So they twisted fragments of your truth until your strengths looked like system errors. They studied you like a target because they couldn't replicate your light. They tried to reverse engineer your spirit, but the code was proprietary to heaven. When they realized they couldn't copy your frequency, they decided to block it. They initiated a smear campaign that wasn't designed to just hurt your feelings. It was designed to throttle your bandwidth. They wanted to make sure that when you spoke, the signal wouldn't reach the network. They wanted to put a firewall around your name so that new connections would be blocked before they could even establish a link. But they underestimated the strength of your signal. They didn't realize that you don't broadcast on their local frequency. You broadcast on a universal channel that they cannot jam. And they executed this shadow ban so seamlessly that even users who were synced with you started questioning their own connection. That is an amateur gossip. That is algorithmic suppression with your spirit as the target. Every glitch they reported about you was actually a diagnostic of their own corrupted hard drive. Every warning they issued described their own malware being projected onto your screen. But first, pause the simulation and verify your connection. Go to the comments and write the number 11. Do not just think it, type it. This is not a random number, it is a binary command to your spirit. By typing 11, you are manually overriding the system's attempt to mute you. You are signaling to the network that your frequency is active and you are ready for the upload. Type 11, now unlock your signal, Indiana. They flagged you as a security threat while they were the ones breaching the firewall. They labeled you as incompatible while they used your energy code to patch their own crumbling system. They pointed at your boundaries and called them glitches, while they performed concern like a scripted bot. The whole time they claimed to be debugging the network, they were actually exposing their own source code in slow motion. Heaven just let the recording software run. The screenshot wasn't random. It was necessary. Not because you had a virus, but because everyone around you needed a firewall test. This system crash didn't